Welcome to today's collective reading. This is TrinityGaiaOracle. Today's reading is going to be similar to one that I've done in the past. It was around the music video of The Greatest Showman on Earth. So if that resonates for you, that should be in my playlist. So it would be in the title most likely. So today's reading is around a music video song that kept coming into my mind repetitively after I had this thought of, it was completely unrelated. I didn't have this obvious link leap to it. And Spirit was just like, you have to talk, you have to watch this video, and you have to understand what's in there and speak to it. So here I am. But what I was thinking about before this immediately hit me was, it's time to move. It's time to move. You can't just passively let life happen to you and expect it to somehow work out beautifully and perfectly without you having to actually actively contribute to making it work out. So you have to give to it. And this video, this music, because it's art. That's what it is. It's symbol. It's resonance. There's so much in it that speaks to our subconscious and our conscious and what the symbols mean to us, aside from the words and the sounds. And this song is by Calvin Harris and Reagan Bone Man, and it's called Giant. And it begins with this young man who just, flat effect, if you know what that means, there's no emotional display in his face. He's not smiling, he's not frowning, there's no expression. And it begins with the statement of, I knew what loneliness was. Before I knew loneliness before I knew what it was. That's what it was. And it was like that state of being was his constant. He had so much going on inside of him and no one that he felt he could share it with. And I can relate to that. And I'm sure many of you listening can as well. There's a whole world inside of you that when you start to open up about even a little bit of what you're carrying, you're met with, this is really heavy and very serious, and I don't want to hang out with you if you're going to talk about things like this, because you're kind of a downer because you're carrying so much heavy stuff. Or the way you view things, or the things that you're fascinated with, or the questions that you have trying to understand your world right now are not the questions that most people are asking, let alone talking to others about. Excuse me. So I understood him, and there was definitely a feeling of being trapped in his space. And as the music video progresses, you can see why. There's a statement of something about pills that this individual in his environment takes to cope with the unrequited love. But it's more than a romantic sense of love. It's the love of self. It's the love of life. It's this individual's dreams were taken from them, were denied them. Their heart is completely broken. So they take the medication, and and they are not present anymore. This individual is an older female, so you can make the judgment that this may be his mother, but it is an older female in his life that may be in a position where she should be responsible for caring and nurturing him, but he ends up guarding, protecting, caring, and nurturing her because of whatever may be going on with her, because a broken heart, as implied in the music, the sound, the words, the imagery, it's not just something that stays in your feelings and your thoughts. It begins to make its way into your physical form, and you become physically sick. So there's this feeling of being trapped in his own life, that there's so much in him that he can't share with anyone because no one can handle his true self. They can't handle all of him. They can only handle the parts that are palatable or pleasant, or maybe he has a person here or there that can only handle a little bit of his inner turmoil, but not all of it. He can't really be himself with anyone fully because they simply can't meet him at his level. For example, sometimes you can be so passionate, you can love so much, you could be so protective of those that can't really defend themselves, and they're looking to you to contain them, to make them safe in the world. That passion can be misread as anger, which could be misread as something that is not balanced or healthy because of other people's perceptions due to their own experiences, when really anger in response to pain is normal. Anger in response to someone that can't defend themselves being harmed is normal. It's what you do with that it makes it unhealthy. And the point there is you're not responsible for how other people choose to frame what you're intending to express. In other words, if they choose to misinterpret what you're saying because it's a them issue, that's them not being healed. That's them not being aware that they are warping how they perceive people around them because of someone that hurt them in the past. And because they didn't do that healing, you're now not able to have them in your life because they are still living life through a filter that restricts their ability to be present with someone and not have their past trauma be in the room, affecting everything they hear and warping it. Someone needed to hear that. It was definitely a segue there, Spirit. So, going back to this art and this imagery here, there's a moment where you see in this music video that he is looking into the mirror, and you kind of get the feeling that he just gave himself like a pep talk, and there was some kind of a realization, even if it was just internally. He was making some pretty profound connections, looking at himself in the mirror. And the music video shifted at this point. Like he finally saw himself. And when he saw whatever it was that he didn't like or that he wasn't willing to accept anymore in that mirror, looking at himself honestly, rawly as he is, he decided that what was within him needed to be able to become somehow channeled to move the world around him, affect the world around him. Or maybe, and this could be something as simple as like you get a job, or you buy a car, or you choose to go to college. That is an action, that is a choice, that is movement, but it involves change. And change is uncomfortable, and people avoid it. But sometimes change is the only way to heal. It's the only way to embrace the change instead of allow life to passively happen to you, to actively choose where you're going so you don't end up somewhere like just completely upset that you're there, possibly bitter and blaming people. When really, did you make a conscious choice to affect the direction that it went in? Because if you didn't, well then that was your choice. Your action was inaction. Your hesitation was actually a choice. Like there's passion, there's love in those words. It's not anger, it's passion. It's like there's a bit of pain in it. Like I'm channeling that for some people because I know what it is to feel like that, to love someone going through something like that and know that you can't do it for them because A, you respect yourself, and B, that you respect them. It's their path, it's their journey. They cannot learn if they do not authentically own it, which means you don't get to meddle. You don't get to give them the answer. They have to arrive at it on their own, or it will not actually help them. You'll be harming them. You'll be delaying the lesson even longer. It's frustrating sometimes loving someone so much when they're going through something. In that moment, he owned that he was a giant. He owned that he was responsible for himself, that his doubts, his fears, his worries, that others' projections, just like that children's story where you see the image of all these little tiny people having tied up this giant and he's laying on the ground with all these ropes around his body. Well, this giant woke up and realized, just like the Eight of Swords, he was way stronger than whatever they could possibly desire to tie him down with. He woke up. And then you see his celebration of it and a window into his inner experience. And there's definitely a spiritual aspect to it. There is presence, such as that he's always wearing blue, and there's this team of other individuals that are about his age that are wearing red, and they're on black horses in the forest. And he's not on a horse, but he's running. And he's running, and he's running, and he's running to this open field. And they're all arranged. There's 5 of them. And they're on horses, all 5 of them. And then they show the next image where they're not mounted on the horse. And it's bareback. There's no saddle. It's like running clothes. And there's a distinguished older gentleman that you see in like different clips where he's harvesting the fruits of the earth. So you have like fish, and you have, it could be like roots, like potatoes or something, and he's cooking over a fire. To me, that individual is a representation of the divine. That all these good deeds that this individual has done is represented in this bounty that's being prepared for his arrival. So maybe you start with just a raw fish. Well, the divine takes that, cooks that, adds some seasoning. And then he pairs that beautifully with a complement of something else that you did. And adds, the proper way, just like a chef of cooking and preparing with spices. And the two complement one another and make for just a really beautiful culinary experience. And it's of the earth, it's of nature. So it has Gaia present within that. And this individual shows up in this field, this open field, where the young man in blue and the 5 people in red, he shows up there in his garb. He's got one black horse next to him, but his outfit changes to a similar kind of workout running outfit, but it has a mixing of blue and red in it, which is profound because it's another synchronicity that says this person is in union, in harmony with the contrast within themselves. The black horse very clearly represents having done the shadow work, meaning this individual understands his shape. A lot of people run from the parts of themselves that they don't understand and are unhealed, so they just avoid them. This individual looked there, went there, healed it, and became friends with this part of himself. Unity, harmony. I did a reading earlier and it was talking about, it's actually a quote, it was a short, and it talked about how the wanting of you to understand your darkness, to better know your own shape. It was such a beautiful poem. This person did that, and they're in union. Now, this person could be a guardian, a guide, an ancestor, an ascended master, an archangel. This person could be a representation of the divine. Regardless, it's some form of a higher power that is guiding what is going on, that is creating a balance point, that is almost like a referee, like making sure that everything is going in the direction of balance. Like they're leading this individual to finding that inner balance, especially with the imagery of this young man being nose to nose with a feminine from the red team, if you will, the other side. And he's in blue and she's in red. And there's a moment where there is a very clear communication between them. And it's so subtle, but it's all in the body language. And it's like he takes one step towards her and they're already pretty close, but it's in his face, like the way he moves his eyes and the direction of the nose, almost like sup. Right? Like it's not so obvious of a zup, it's more subtle, but it's still the language of, you're interesting. I'm fascinated. And she's just giving him her complete focus. There doesn't appear to be any reaction or body language. She's just focused on him. She has a gold chain around her neck. It's interesting. Because gold is typically a representation of masculine energy, where silver is receptive. So feminine. So even though she's a female form, she has a masculine aspect to her, an assertive aspect to her. Which clearly, to me, is telling me that this person is representing the other half of himself. His balance, his counterpoint, his mirror, the contrast that with this magician form, this is his contrast. And then there's just lightning and rain and dancing and getting all of this energy kinetically moving through his body, and they're all doing that. They're all dancing. Being active helps you move through, like it helps you move this energy out of your physical form. So it doesn't say stuck in it, because all of that energy from the beginning of this video is still very muchly present in him. And it's part of why he's able to be in this moment as aware and as present, because he knows she understands him. She sees him. It never shows him looking at the magician directly, or this guide, this guardian. It never shows him directly looking or interacting physically with this individual or any of the other people, just him being aware of her. And I do believe the other forms are masculine that are wearing red. It's what they're allowing me to focus on. So that's what's meant to come through. If there are other female forms, it's not wanting to highlight that. The divine source is not wanting to highlight that. Your guides are not wanting to highlight that. With this lightning strike, it strikes on her side of the screen, well away from her, and then they're all gone, and he's alone in this field. And the implication is it's like I believe the word is a nementon, just like a sacred space in Druidry. It's where like a patch, a square of land is just devoid of trees pretty much. They don't grow to be big and tall and strong naturally. So it's like a natural cathedral, a natural sacred space. So he's in this open field and there's trees all around the edges, but he's in the open field. There may be like fledgling, like baby trees, but nothing tall, nothing really big, nothing really survived past a certain point or grows beyond a certain point. And then it starts snowing. And it starts snowing as it focuses in on his face and he's looking up to the sky. And that's when you realize that all of this is happening inside of him. All of it is happening inside of him. None of it is happening in the physical aside from his physical activity. So when he begins to run, he's not running away from his life. He's running toward himself. And if you are called to watch this video, if you're called to this channel, this type of content, you know that it's highly likely to some extent that she actually exists in the world. And he's actually not alone. And those other energies are present. And that he does have a guide who is there helping him to stay where he needs to be able to be balanced. Because they mirror one another. Something major happens in her life, something else happens in his. And vice versa. It's about balance. It's about protecting them, guiding them, showing them how to be in balance in themselves. Even if it's not a direct connection, a direct relationship, because like I said in the video, they were not looking, he never looked directly at this individual who represented the magician. There was no physical aspect to that. It was very like an awareness of the presence, but it was not a direct look. Like there was some kind of veil there almost. Like he was not meant to look directly at or to know that closely yet. But also a feel of like a competition, like those dance competition movies, where there's the rivalry and like the two teams get together, but he's alone. He's alone. He doesn't have any other blue team with him. So he's a giant because he's awake to this. She may not be, because remember, she looks directly at him. She doesn't respond or react to him. So she may not be awake to his presence. like this. But he is very aware of her. And all of this is internal. So on top of everything that's going on in his life, everything that's going on around him, this is a part of him that he knows he can't share. That makes him feel oddly, and I can relate to this, more alone, yet not as lonely. It highlights it in a different way. It emphasizes and brings out different contrasts even more for the contradiction within it. And that contrast is where the balance begins to bring it about for her to become aware, to wake up to that he already knows and is experiencing. This is the beginning of a series. There were more videos that had more music, more synchronicities that tie into this very, very thing. There's more layers to it. And I will continue this series. I did originally try to upload all of it and just flow, but in order to do so, probably included a little too much content that was actually copyrighted. So I had to delete it, and this is where we are. So do stay tuned, because there's so many connections in this art and these videos, and sometimes having the music and the imagery speaks more than a sentence or a word or a phrase or a tone of voice that I can give to it. The art, the imagery, and the resonance and the sound of the music paired with this is what Divine is asking me to do right now. So that's where I'm focusing. So do feel free to like, share, comment, subscribe. If you wanted to donate, I have a link in the details for my Cash App. The Divine within me honors. The love within me honors the Divine and the love within you. In other words, hi. Namaste.